come on in and welcome to the nightly show with Aries Rose. I hope you are having a wonderful week. We are halfway through the week here, so just a couple more days to go, and then we'll be heading into the first weekend in April. Absolutely love this month. It's a very special month for me, so I'm excited for some new beginnings, for spring, some renewals, all of that good stuff that comes along with the season changing. And if you're not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose, and welcome to Aries Rose TV. You know the drill. If you are a returning Aries crew member, let me know that by saying hashtag Aries crew in the comments. If you are a first time watcher, let me know that by saying first time watcher in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for being here and spending part of your day with us. So we have a great show lineup for you today. We're going to be talking about some celebrity topics and some interesting stories here that I have found that I just kind of want to unpack with my Aries crew here. So today we're going to talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme. He is a Hollywood actor. As far as I'm concerned, he is a legend in his own right. He was huge in the late 80s and 90s, did a lot of action films, and he definitely earned his spot as somebody to be talked about in movies and in Hollywood, but he's facing some serious charges here, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Val Kilmer, another acting legend here, but legend in a different way. He has passed away at the age of 65, so we'll talk a little bit more about what went on with that and what was going on with Val in his last years. And Virginia Giuffre, and she was, if you remember, you may not know the name, but you're probably familiar with the story. She was one of the accusers against Jeffrey Epstein, and she had did a strange post that she had put up a picture of her being pretty badly injured. At least that's what it looked like in the photo, stating that she had been in an accident that involved a bus that had hit her vehicle. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We also have a potential change in the relationship between President Trump and Elon Musk. So let's see what's going on there. I personally think there's some strains. If you've been watching, Tesla's been experiencing some hardship from all of the activity that Elon Musk has been doing with Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, and choices that he's made, or just the way the public's feeling about him is definitely being reflected onto his businesses. So we're going to explore a little bit more, see what's going on between him and President Trump. And Paul Rodriguez, a comedian, was arrested. I believe this happened over the week. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. If you are here on the live, welcome. Let me know if you are a returning Aries crew member by saying hashtag Aries crew in the comments, or if you are a first time watcher, leave first time watcher in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for being here. And if you have not already done so, please like the video. It costs you nothing and it helps with the YouTube algorithm. We really appreciate any support that you can give, and that's definitely a way you can help the channel grow, and you don't have to pay anything for that. So our first story tonight, we're going to talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme. So he was one of my favorite action stars back in that time. So he was big when Arnold Schwarzenegger was big, Sylvester Stallone, Kirk Russell, Mel Gibson, and he did a lot of films that showcased his karate abilities. I believe he also took ballet as well, so he was flexible. So he's also well known for being able to do the splits. I even seen a commercial, I think it was a truck commercial, where he did a splits between two like big semi type trucks. Let me know in the comments if you remember that video. So he's pretty well known for being able to do the splits, and he did pretty high kicks as well. He was kind of known for that in his movies. Well, he's facing some serious charges here in Romania. So let's dive a little bit deeper into there and see what's going on with that. And we're getting our reporting on this story here from TMZ. So let's get into this one and see what's going on. It's not looking too good here, just for the basics of what he may be facing with these charges. And let's go on. Here we go. All right. Jean-Claude Van Damme is reportedly facing charges of having adult interactions, work with me here on YouTube, with trafficked women in Romania, allegedly accepting adult favors with several women as a gift. According to CNN affiliate, on here, and give me 1 second here to bring that back. I'm going to take a little pause here. Little Jace, thank you so much for being on here. How are you? How is your week going? Appreciate you. There we go. Lost my spot, but now we are back. So according to CNN affiliate, Antenna 3, the Romanian Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism, has filed a criminal complaint against Van Damme, claiming he knowingly had adult interactions with several women who were being trafficked. Per the report, the actor allegedly met with several people also under investigation for trafficking crimes who offered to let him have adult interactions with 5 Romanian models as a gift. This is not looking good. The knowingly part, if that is true, may not work out well for the actor. I don't know what the whole details are behind this situation, but you just, as a general rule, never want to be associated with those types of charges or that type of situation. And it's very unfortunate he's found himself involved in this, as well as for the alleged victims, if this is the case. Very sad for them as well. You definitely don't want to see acting legends being involved in these type of stories and having that be a part of their history, especially when you do so much work to build up your name and to get to a certain stature. And also what comes along with that is scrutiny for things that you do. And whenever you make bad choices, those things are going to ring out louder sometimes than the good things that you do. And that looks like that's the case here. Let's get a little bit more into the story here on TMZ. It says this alleged incident is said to have gone down in Cannes. So the French government reportedly has to authorize criminal proceedings. Unclear if or when that might happen. Van Damme isn't the only public figure who has been accused of crimes related to trafficking in Romania. Remember, Andrew and Tristan Tate were only recently allowed to leave the country after they were arrested on trafficking charges back in 2022. So we're going to keep an eye out on this story and see what's going to go on with this. I, truly hope the best for everybody involved, and I hope that this can be resolved and this doesn't end up ever being an issue for this person again. But very sad. I don't know what the circumstances were or why that was even offered as a gift or why that person even accepted that as a gift. But my assumption is maybe it was presented a little bit differently than what it turned out to be. But either way, sounds like it wasn't a good decision, and it's just very important you're cognizant of the company that you keep and the offers that you accept, because you never know when that might end up coming back to bite you because it wasn't on the up and up. But let me know your thoughts on it in the story here on the comments. I'd love to see what you think about this situation, and if you think there will be charges that were brought against him, if you think he did know what he was doing or maybe was tricked into that. We'll see. Let's take a little pause here for the comments. Real Ronnie, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Gods of Gravity fan, appreciate you. Thank you for coming onto the live. And Joseph, you're celebrating 5 years of sobriety, being away from alcohol. That's wonderful. Cheers to many more years. Good for you for being able to get to a place of sobriety. Hope you are able to continue for many, many more years. And let's get into our next story here. We got to talk about acting legend Val Kilmer. So Val Kilmer is, I think, one of the top-notch actors, definitely dedicated, skilled, gifted artist that brought these stories and characters that he told to life in a way that I think was just very unique to him. He had a unique look in his time. He was extremely handsome. If you grew up in the 80s, early 90s, you definitely know him as Iceman from Top Gun. In addition to that probably being one of the best Navy recruiting tool movies, Top Gun, the original one that came out in the 80s, he also had that iconic volleyball scene. He will, to me, forever be Iceman. So I was pretty bummed out last night when I saw it flash across my notification that he passed away at the age of 65. I know he had some health challenges and had been going through some things, but I truly didn't realize that it was, or truly didn't know it was as bad as it really was. So hearing about kind of his last days and what ended up taking his life, very sad. And 65 is young. The closer I get to that age, the younger that seems. I can remember when I was a kid, 65 seemed old. You might as well be 1,000 years old. And the closer I get to that age, it still seems really young. So, when I saw that, that was just like, wow, he could have had another 20, 30 years of life in him. Um, Ultimately, not the way you want your icons or really anybody to go out, but sometimes you don't get to pick that way, and things just happen the way they happen. So let's talk a little bit about this actor's life. So he is an acting legend known for movies such as Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick that came out in 2022. That one was an awesome movie as well. He was also in The Doors, and he was even Batman. If you remember that back in the 90s, he was even Batman at one point in time. So I think that's pretty cool. He's definitely had a very colorful career playing different characters, not really the same kind of person more than once. And I like that because it showed range. It showed that he was really able to anything that you gave him, he was really able to embody that role and play that character. And to me, that's the mark of a true actor, not just a one-dimensional character that can only play one type of role or show up as one kind of person, but when you can put them in a drama, in a comedy, in an action, in a mystery, a scary movie, whatever it may be, and they can still deliver just as well, that to me is a sign of a great actor because you should be able to plug them into anything, and that to me definitely speaks to him. Like the movie The Doors was about, Jim Morrison and that band, which is very different than Top Gun, which is talking about, naval pilots. So, that just goes to show right there, just from a couple movies of, his range that he stretched from, even going out to be Batman at one point in time after Michael Keaton. And I thought next to Michael Keaton, who I personally believe was the best Batman, hands down, and Christian Bale was right up there for The Dark Knight. And then I would say Val Kilmer was right there in the top 3 of people that I really liked playing Batman. George Clooney was not a good Batman. Sorry, I know the story's not about him, but since we're on Batman, I don't know why George Clooney was there. That was definitely one he should have been passed over for that role. But I thought Val Kilmer did a pretty decent job as Batman. But let me know who your favorite person was that played Batman. Curious to see who else you may have liked in that role, if it might differ from me. But his daughter, Mercedes Kilmore, told the New York Times that Val had died from pneumonia. He had oral cancer at one point and was diagnosed with that in 2014. And then in 2015, he had to get some treatment for a throat tumor. And that was brought on by having oral cancer, and he was able to get cancer in remission. So he was able to battle cancer, and he successfully won that battle. However, it ended up damaging his vocal cords, so he wasn't able to speak. And if you saw the movie Maverick Top Gun, the one that came out in 2022, he did have a speaking role in that movie, although it was mainly him typing, whether that be through text or on the computer, but he did have a speaking role. And from what I read, filmmakers recreated his voice with AI. So I thought that was really cool to have another opportunity to hear him speak again. And I'm sure it was for him to be able to hear that. I couldn't imagine not having my vocal cords and not being able to speak, especially when your job is as an actor. So that's the whole way you convey stuff, in addition to through your body and through emotions on your face. It's also through your words, and having one of those methods of communicating being taken away from you, I'm sure it's quite challenging because still a lot of what we do around life is centered around, speaking. And glad he was able to figure out ways to get around that, but I'm sure it was challenging and hard because you did have the ability to speak at one time versus having never had it at all, not knowing what you're missing. He got into the prestigious Juilliard School of Acting at just 17, and Juilliard is a very well-known school for producing some of the top-notch actors and artists, in dancing. So kudos to him for being able to get into that competitive school. It's not easy, and the creme de la creme come out of there. So I think that speaks a lot to his dedication, hard work, and determination. And getting in at 17 is amazing. And after he graduated, he did a lot of theater, and he obviously went on to Hollywood to have great success. So he was a part of a lot of good movies and franchises such as Top Gun. And he's survived by his two adult children, the son Jack and daughter Mercedes that he had with his ex-wife Joanne Wally. And let's get into a little bit about what the last days of his life were like. It's my understanding he was bedridden there towards the end. And let's see what else we can learn about what some of his last years of life was like. So here, uh, according to information on TMZ, Val Kilmer's health had seriously deteriorated near the end of his life, leaving him unable to get out of bed for years before his death, TMZ has learned. Family sources tell TMZ Val had a lot of energy related to his cancer treatment, and as a result, Val had a lack of energy related to his cancer treatment, and as a result, he was bedbound for a long time. Just very sad when you lose your ability to be mobile and to get up and do things that you want to do, and your mind is still there. That breaks my heart. I completely understand and sympathize with people who are sick and just really have a difficult time grasping that, because when your mind is still working the same way, but your body doesn't communicate and doesn't move in the way you want it to, it is very frustrating. So I think, especially when you were able to do things, it's harder to lose those abilities and have to rely on other people to do things you're used to being able to do yourself. So, it does take some adjustment and some mindset of getting into accepting that maybe your mobility and things you were able to do that's changing, or there's limitations now. So my heart goes out to him for experiencing that in the last few years of his life. While he was cancer free, we're told his body simply couldn't keep fighting at the end, and his body eventually shut down. According to our sources, Val was very frail near the end of his life, and his death wasn't sudden. His health seriously declined in the past week, and his friends and family came to Val's side at the hospital in the days before his death. He had been previously hospitalized earlier this year, so it sounds like it didn't kind of come out of left field. It may have been expected. You don't always know exactly when, but it doesn't sound like it's something that nobody saw coming. And again, if you did see him in the last few years, you knew he had changed. His physical appearance was different. Once it was known he was having health issues, you knew that was obviously, having an impact on him. So, I'm glad he got to be able to spend some time with family and friends. I just wish his last years could have been a little bit different and he could have been able to do a little bit more. Let's see, it says Kilmer hadn't appeared in public for years before his death, last attending the Thespians Go Hollywood Gala back in 2019 with his daughter Mercedes. Val has two children, and we're told they're working on his funeral arrangements. As you know, Mercedes confirmed her dad's passing to the New York Times yesterday, revealing he died after a battle with pneumonia. And let's see, numerous celebs, including Cher, Francis Ford Coppola, and Jennifer Tilly, have paid tribute to Kilmer in the hours after his death. So I got that report last night. So, all today I was seeing that people were talking about him or making tributes. Very sad. He will definitely be missed. His contributions will not be forgotten. Let me know your favorite Val Kilmer movie in the comments. If there was one, you particularly enjoyed him in, or what character you liked Val Kilmer playing. Let's keep that conversation going. And if you are here on the live, let me know if you are a part of the Aries crew by saying hashtag Aries crew in the comments, or if you're a first-time watcher, let me know by saying first-time watcher. I want to give you a shout out for being here. Appreciate you taking time to stop by. And if you have not already done so and you've been on here this long, go ahead and like the video. You appreciate the content and we appreciate you. It's a free way to show your support to the channel. And if you have not already done so, we'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. We have fun over here. Just hit that subscription button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, upload videos, post shorts, and post on the community page. And I also want to start doing birthday shout outs. So if your birthday is this month or your birthday is today, let me know in the comments. I want to make sure and acknowledge you, give you some well wishes for your birthday, because I don't care how old you are. I always think it's important to celebrate your birthday because life is precious. It is a gift we should appreciate and enjoy. And now we're going to hop into our next story about Virginia Giuffre. And let's see, she did a strange post where she had put up a picture of her and she was saying that she only has 4 days to live at the time because she was experiencing renal failure from being in this accident. But there is a question of whether or not the accident was to the severity that she was mentioning or if her life was truly in danger. So, let's kind of go into the story here. We're getting our reporting from TMZ, and we're going to read off on this story. Virginia Giuffre, who accused the now deceased Jeffrey Epstein of trafficking, has shared a troubling Instagram post from a hospital claiming docs have told her that she has 4 days to live. Her face is bruised on one side, like up around the eye and the eyebrow. So it's like she's got a black eye and some bruising right up here and on the top of the forehead, and then there's also some down around the jaw line, kind of going from the ear portion on down towards the mouth here. So, and there's also some bruising on the nose as well. So that is the visual picture that was also included along with this story here. And Virginia Giuffre, who accused the now deceased Jeffrey Epstein of trafficking, has shared a troubling Instagram post from a hospital claiming doctor told her she has 4 days to live, now down to 3, which was 3 at that time, after an apparent car crash. In a Sunday Instagram post, Giuffre shared a photo of her bruised face from her hospital bed, asserting in the caption that she went into renal failure after a school bus crashed into her at a whopping 68 miles per hour while she was slowing down for a turn. And I believe she is not living in the States, she is living in Australia. So that's where this took place. But she's from the United States, but she is now living in Australia. Giuffre claimed her injuries were so severe that doctors gave her just days to live and transferred her to a special urology hospital. But despite supposedly being at death's door, she still managed to muster up enough strength to update her Instagram followers. So I gotta tell you, I'm not 100% sure that I would go onto Instagram and post if I only had a few days to live. I'm not sure if that's what I would do. If I believed it, I'd probably be wanting to spend all that time with my family and friends, not even thinking about that, not saying one thing or another about the decision to do that. It's just an interesting place to come and put that information and to include that picture on there. Let's see, she did leave a quote on the page that we are going to read here about the accident. Says this year has been the worst start, quote, this year has been the worst start to a new year, but I won't bore anyone with the details. But I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers as were slowing for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. Fair enough. I've gone into kidney renal failure and they've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about wishes. SHIT in one hand and wish in the other, and I guarantee it's still going to be the best SHIT at the end of the day. Thank you for all being the wonderful people of the world and for being a great part of my life. God bless you all, Virginia. And so, if you remember her, she kind of came into the pop culture world, if you will, being connected to Jeffrey Epstein, that she was allegedly one of his victims. And she also sued Prince Andrew because she had a photo taken with him and Ghislaine Maxwell in Ghislaine Maxwell's condo or home. That photo was allegedly taken by Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that shows that she did meet and had interacted with Prince Andrew, although he tried to deny that it may be his hand that was in the photo. If you saw that famous interview he did with, I think it was the BBC a few years back when this story broke, where he said, "That's me in the picture, but we can't be sure if that's my hand because the hand is kind of coming around on her waist." And he acknowledged that it was him. I don't know what may have occurred between the two, but she says that they did interact with each other in the biblical sense, if you follow, and that she was a minor. That ended up causing a scandal for Prince Andrew, and he ended up losing his role. At time his mom was alive, and she addressed that, and that just was not a good look overall. It's definitely not a good look for a royal. His excuse that he tried to come up with to say none of it was true, it just really wasn't adding up. None of it made sense, and the way he tried to portray himself and the kind of individual he is and the way he carried himself just didn't match with what people were able to find. He claimed he was unable to sweat, and they showed pictures. You can find pictures of him online where he's clearly sweating. So he claimed he had a medical condition and had to do some things to be able to sweat. But at that time that occurred, he didn't have that, and he claimed he was taking his daughters to a birthday party at probably the UK's version of Chuck E. Cheese. I can't remember what the place was called. But just some stories like that that was a horrible interview that he did with the BBC. If you thought that was making him come off as innocent and a trustworthy person, it did not. It had the exact opposite effect, and that's why things went downhill for him from there. But that's kind of where Virginia's notoriety came from. So kind of anytime her name is brought up, it's always brought back to tying into those two people here. But that's what she was stating was her situation here. And, naturally people picked up on that and that was talked about. And now we're going to catch up on what the Australian authorities have said about this accident. So, as far as I've been able to see, Virginia is still alive. I haven't seen anything that said she's passed away. So, I'm not sure how accurate her diagnosis was that she was given, that she's only going to have a few days to live. But Australian officials, according to information on TMZ, have confirmed a minor crash between a bus and a car. It says minor crash here between a bus and a car just after Jeffrey Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre claimed she had only a few days to live following an accident. Western Australia police haven't confirmed if the crash is directly linked to Giuffre, who is currently at St. Charles Gardiner Hospital, but they did say that there were no injuries reported in the incident, which happened in near Gabby, 12 miles north of Perth, around 3 p.m. on March 24th. This is in Australia here. The police said in a statement the bus driver reported the accident the following day. I don't know if they're not required to report the accident the same day in Australia or not, but that's interesting to report the accident the following day. And the car involved in the crash sustained about $2,000 in damage. There were no reports of bus passengers. So it appears an accident did happen between a car and a bus, but according to authorities, it was minor. Now, again, the picture that Virginia posted does show some bruising on her. I'm going to imagine that that's real and that's not something that was doctored up on there. So perhaps it was a minor crash, as what they're saying, but she still sustained these major injuries, if that is the case, or internal injuries that may cause her to lose her life, besides the superficial ones that you see on her face. They added a 71-year-old woman was driving the car with a 41-year-old woman in the passenger seat. Virginia's 41, so she must have been in the passenger seat. She didn't say exactly who was in the car with her in the Instagram post. So we don't know who that 71-year-old woman was at this time, if that is how old that person was. It is unknown if the person had the same kind of heavy bruising she's dealing with, which gave her 4 days to live, now down to 2 or something worse. Currently, the police didn't give any details if the bus sustained any damages, which surely would have happened if it was speeding at a crazy 110 kilometers at 68 miles per hour, while the car Virginia was in a slowing while the car Virginia was in was slowing down for a turn. So we'll see what's going on with that. It says overall, Virginia's post has raised some doubts online, with people wondering how she had the strength to write a long post after apparently going into renal failure and being on death's door after the accident. Fair enough. Virginia's dad, Sky Roberts, told the UK's The Telegraph that Virginia's not doing well since the accident, adding she's been depressed because she's going through a divorce and missing her kids. So that last line almost makes me think, did she say that because maybe she doesn't have the ability to see her kids? There might be something going on with this divorce where she's having reduced access to her children, and maybe this is her way of getting to see them more. I'd like to hope that she would not be saying something to that magnitude just to be trying to get attention. But depression does cause different things in people, and sometimes you act out to try to get attention from people you feel like aren't paying attention to you. But we'll keep an eye out on the story. Let me know in the comments if you think it is legitimate or if the seriousness of any injuries sustained is being over exaggerated here. Definitely want to hear your thoughts on it. We'll keep the conversation going. And then we have the relationship between President Trump and Elon Musk may be coming to an end here. So, not to dip too heavy into the political pool, but I do think it's always important to know what's going on and kind of stay up on those activities, because whether or not you like to follow politics, things that go on in that world do affect you. People who are in office and people who are in positions that can vote on things or vote things down do have control over things that happen in your life. So if you are not, I do encourage you to be registered to vote, and I do encourage you to participate in voting activities, whether that be on the federal or local scale. All are just important, and I do encourage you to be an informed voter. Doesn't matter what you vote for, just make sure you do participate in the process so that your interests are heard and represented here. So, Elon Musk was a pretty large contributor to, there's no secret there, he's a pretty large contributor to the presidential campaign that current President Donald Trump ran, and he did successfully win that race. Now, you don't know what those backdoor, behind the scenes conversations were, but there's talk that because Elon Musk has donated so much to his presidential campaign, that's kind of why he's got such a large role in things that are going on with federal government decisions right now. Although he is a special, I say he's like a special employee or a special consultant to the president. He doesn't really have an official title. He's not an actual federal employee. He's not got an official role other than that role that is only good for 130 days. So that's how long he can do that role. But some of the decisions that Elon Musk and the Doge team are making, whether that be sending emails to federal employees saying, "What did you do today?" where they're required to respond back with 5 bulleted items of what they did that week, almost seeming like they need to justify their position or what they're working on. Although Elon termed that as, "Do you have a pulse? Are you breathing?" email, just to see how many responses you get back. People have been losing their jobs in the federal government under the guise of waste, fraud, and abuse, or, performance issues to try to downsize some departments. Interesting, some of the departments that are being affected that will probably be talked about for years to come on why those particular areas were targeted, such as the IRS, the Department of Education, Department of Justice, and other areas that have fallen under the review and changes that have been done by the Department of Government Efficiency. But obviously, that's leaving a lot of frustration, questions about if this person even has the ability legally and should be doing what they're doing. And the way people are feeling about Elon Musk is going to start to, if it has already spill over into how people feel about President Trump, because they have just really tied themselves to each other. They're both very openly supportive about each other and speak highly of each other. So once you start to associate yourselves with each other like that, when people maybe turn sour on one person, that's also going to spill off into another person that they deeply associate with you. And it looks like Elon Musk is experiencing his, time right now for not being in favor with people. He's definitely rubbed some people the wrong way, and it's being taken out on companies that he's a part of, such as Tesla's earnings have dropped. They're seeing vandalism at their dealerships. They're also seeing vandalism. People who are just driving Teslas are saying that they're experiencing people being rude to them, yelling at them, maybe flipping them off, saying crazy things, or their vehicles are being destroyed because people are taking out their frustrations on Elon on these vehicles. Um, I don't think you should be vandalizing other people's stuff or tearing up dealerships or tearing up people's vehicles because things are very expensive and that costs a lot to replace. But if you do want to make a point, you just simply don't have to buy the products, because I think money speaks louder than that. Destroying stuff not necessarily the way to get people's attention. When you start hitting them in their wallets and you're not purchasing their items and they're not getting rich off of you, that's what gets their attention. So honestly, if you want to make a point, just don't buy a Tesla. I think that makes a good enough point. You don't have to destroy any Teslas or destroy any dealerships or harass the people who are driving one or harass the people who work there. They're just trying to make a living. They're not responsible for the decisions or the things that somebody who's associated with the company chooses to do. So we just keep that perspective in mind. Don't take it out on those folks. But if you feel a certain way about this person, you want to make a point, simply don't buy a Tesla. That speaks volume. So let's see what's being reported here. It says Elon Musk, 1 foot out the door. We're getting our reporting from TMZ. Elon Musk's time at the White House is coming to an end, which it would have to anyway legally. So this is not completely out of nowhere, but we'll see what's going on. At least that's what President Trump is reportedly telling those closest to him. All right. President of the United States has told his inner circle and some members of his cabinet that Elon will soon be stepping back from his role as a senior White House advisor, according to a report Wednesday from Politico, citing 3 anonymous Trump insiders. Says Trump hinted at the change Monday, telling reporters in the Oval Office, "Quote, I think he's been amazing, but I also think he's got a big company to run, and so at some point he's going to step back. He wants to. I'd keep him as long as I could keep him," what the president said, end quote. Elon has been heavily involved in cuts in the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, which is not an official department, by the way, because it's not voted on and agreed to by Congress. And he tried to get a conservative judge elected this week in Wisconsin, spending more than $20 million, but failed. Message: Trump is reported. Elon political claims some in Trump administration are frustrated with Musk and believe the billionaire is a political liability. And if you have been seeing some Republican congressmen and women have been going back to their cities, their towns, and in those town halls, they are being confronted with people who are being impacted, whether that be through Social Security. Social Security is another department that DOGE has also had some impact on, and there's over, I want to say, don't quote me, but like over 70 million Americans that rely on Social Security benefits, whether that be because you're older and you're retired, because you're disabled and you cannot work, or you got survivor benefits for a spouse, or children getting survivor benefits from a parent that has passed away. So there are people that do rely on Social Security benefits, and it's already tricky enough to navigate through the government system to get onto these programs, let alone now you're reducing staff or answering phones and in-person abilities to get assistance as well, and or closing down offices. to try and save money, that's also making people maybe have to go further distances or making it harder for them to get into the office. So naturally, that's also going to get some backlash from people who are impacted by that, or people who are, know people or are related to people who are impacted by that. Same with the Veterans Affairs with the VA, that being impacted as well with cuts. So, and they say that they love our veterans, but some of the actions don't always speak to that. And, there's going to sometimes be for every action, there's a reaction, and you can't control the reaction. But, if you choose to do things, there's the good and the bad. And right now, it's probably in that more of a negative space for how people are feeling about the decisions that have been made. And only time will tell if they were beneficial or not, or the right things to do. It's just everybody's watching this unfold, because this is uncharted territory for all of us. Let's get back into the story here. Elon's got a lot going on outside of Washington, but he's also the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla, and his car company has become the target of protests and vandalism across the country. We were talking about that earlier. There's more at play here. Elon is a special government employee. Okay, so that's what his title is, special government employee, who is temporarily exempt from some rules regarding ethics and conflicts of interest. I don't know why you would be temporarily exempt from some rules, but let's keep going. And those protections end after a 130-day period that is expected to run out at some point in the next 2 months. While Trump is reportedly laying groundwork for Elon's exit, Politico reports some Trump insiders say Musk will transition into an informal role in the administration and won't completely fade away from Trump. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Definitely keeping an eye out on this. Let's see here. We got a little bit more here in a post on X Wednesday. The White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, wrote, quote, Elon Musk and President Trump have both publicly stated that Elon will depart from public service as a special government employee with his incredible work at when his incredible work at Doge is complete, end quote. I'm not sure who thinks that the work he's doing is incredible. But let me know. Do you think that the work that Elon Musk and Doge is doing is incredible? Let me know if you think that they are finding waste, fraud, and abuse. If they are finding actual waste, fraud, and abuse, or if that's just what they're calling it as a reason to try and downsize and cut some different government departments. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Let's keep that conversation going on that. Really would love to hear from you. And our last story for tonight is about Paul Rodriguez. He is a comedian. It's been a while since I've seen him in some stuff. He was, I want to say, was he a comedian back in the 90s or the 80s? Maybe both. But definitely, I know that name. If you are younger, you may not be familiar with him, but he was big in comedy at one point in time. So we got a story that he was arrested for drug possession during a traffic stop. So legendary, and this information we're getting off TMZ, legendary comedian Paul Rodriguez had a bad night Friday, this past Friday. We're not talking about one the stage, but rather he got arrested by the police. Here's what happened. Paul was driving in a vehicle in Burbank, California, when a cop pulled him over for a traffic violation, according to law enforcement sources. We don't know what the violation was, but that's besides the point, because our sources say that when the officers searched Paul's car and allegedly found some type of substances inside, the told Paul was promptly arrested and taken to the clink for misdemeanor possession of substances, although he's expected to be released from jail soon. Paul has had it rough in recent years. Last November, his longtime buddy Donald Serrato died from natural causes while staying at his LA home, and in 2021, Paul underwent quadruple bypass surgery. Oh, that's pretty sad. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty serious if you need that type of surgery on your heart. So that is pretty rough here. Let's see, we got a little bit update. So, comedian Paul Rodriguez threatens legal action against police. Okay, so Paul Rodriguez is going to war with the Burbank Police Department, bracing for an ugly legal battle over his recent arrest for drug possession, TMZ has learned. The legendary actor, comedian, and Burbank law enforcement sources traded accusations in separate statements to TMZ. turning Paul's misdemeanor drug possession case into a wild drama. On Friday night, Paul was arrested with a female friend after cops pulled them over. She was driving, he was in the passenger seat, and conducted a search, eventually finding rugs in the woman's purse. Paul told TMZ the cops slapped him. Paul's attorney, Bobby Chamonix, I might be saying that wrong, later said the officers' actions constituted a civil rights violation. On Tuesday night, Burbank Police Department forces fired back, telling TMZ that though they're aware of Paul's police misconduct allegations and the matter is currently under administrative review, his accusations seem dubious. They point out that after Paul was released from custody, he spoke to a watch commander and never raised any issues about officer misconduct. We're told the arrest was caught on body cam video, but the department has no immediate plans to release it, citing the active criminal case. So let me know your thoughts. We're going to keep an eye out on this story here, see what comes from that. Doesn't sound like it was something that he had on him, but we will definitely see where this ends up leading. So that concludes our show tonight. If you are still on here and you have not already done so, go ahead and join the Aries crew. We'd absolutely love to have you here. All you got to do is hit that subscription button. It is free to join. We have fun here. So come on in and be a part of that fun. We do a nightly show. We will be going live tomorrow night as well. And we'll have some more great topics to talk about. If you have anything you'd like me to talk about, let me know here in the comments, or you can send me an email. You can find that on the bio information there. I'd love to hear from you, and if there's things I can find on that topic, we will keep the conversation going. If you have not hit that subscription bell, go ahead, or if you have not hit that notification bell, go ahead and hit that, and make sure you select all so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, post on the community page, upload shorts, all of that good stuff. We're going to do a live talking about The Woman in the Yard. I had a chance to watch that movie. I want to unpack it, dive into it with you guys. So if you watch that movie, I want you on that live with me so we can talk about it. There's so many things that had like a double meaning. Maybe I interpreted it this way. I want to see what you thought. So I think it's just a great one that we can dive into because it really goes into some complex topics, and the movie goes there. The movie goes there, and we're going to go there too, and how we talk about it. You know, we're going to do it respectfully, but we're going to go there. So be on that live. I'll let you know when we're going to talk about that. Maybe this weekend. We will see. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure you like the video. Share this out with family and friends. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. It's a free way to support the channel. We're trying to get to 1,800 subscribers by the summer, so your support is appreciated. We will see you later. Take care.